When I started looking for a new stove, there was 3 things I needed. One of the smaller one. Didn't want it to weigh much. I didn't want it to cost very much. Hey guys and gals, thanks for clicking that watch button. I really do appreciate it. Matty back again. Today we're going to be talking stoves. Sort of in my quest to kind of get more and more closer to, I guess I'm working my way towards ultralight. I'm definitely not there yet. I've kind of got a ways to go before I hit that 10-pound goal that everybody kind of seems to think is for the ultralight, but I'm getting close. It's getting there. I'm sitting at about 13 pounds right now as of December 2013. A big change that I made this summer, I completely changed up my cook system. I used to run a Tokes 1100 mil pot, titanium, absolutely love it. Got a video on this. I'll put this up if you want to check that out. This thing is awesome. But what I was finding is I never actually needed to boil any more than about 500 mils of water when I was on my own. So I made a switch to a smaller pot. I went with a 650 mil pot. This is titanium as well. So with that in mind, I decided to look into what I could do for lighting up my stove. I previously had an MSR micro rocket, which I absolutely love. This thing is amazing. But I kind of tried to figure out if there was a way I could get a lighter stove, get something smaller, and obviously I wanted to try and do it on the cheap. So just for a size comparison, the MSR micro rocket and the BRS 3000. So obviously I really hit the size. I mean, this thing is like less than half the size. It's less than half the weight. 26 grams for this. When you include the added stuff sack, it goes up to about 28 grams, which is pretty awesome. Getting into the price on this thing, ridiculously cheap. You can get these for 21 Canadian on Amazon with Prime shipping. Alright, so just kind of getting into a couple of the features. Obviously, the stove itself is super simple. It's got on the very bottom, you've got threads to screw onto the top of your isobutane canister. And then you've got your adjustable fuel handle, which does fold up and down. And then it's just counterclockwise to get more fuel, clockwise to turn your fuel off. And then the 3 legs on the top fold up to form your pot stand. And then obviously you've got your burner in the center. Very simple design. Yeah, I love it. This thing is awesome. So yeah, after using it for a year, I've been super happy with the stove. I mean, it hit everything that I needed it to. It didn't cost me a whole lot to pick it up, so it was a really, really cheap investment. Definitely saved me some weight. Definitely fit what I wanted to for size. Just going with my 650 mil pot that I went with, going with this stove, my goal was a nesting system. So I wanted the stove to be able to nest inside the pot with one of the 221 mil canisters, my Bic Mini, yeah, and it does. It works perfect. I couldn't be happier with the system. Boils water pretty quick. It's pretty comparable to the MSR Micro Rocket and the MSR Pocket Rocket. I don't have the Pocket Rocket 2, so I can't do any direct comparisons myself, but comparing it to the stoves that I've got, it's pretty close. It's a little bit slower than the Micro Rocket, but she gets the job done. I've been pretty happy with it. Some of the cons, I would say, about the stove. From what I have found, I would say the stove is only really good for boiling water. I haven't had a whole lot of success cooking with it. The main reason for that is the size of the burner head itself. It's so small, and when you have the stove on, it produces such a centralized, like, rocket of flame, basically, that, yeah, you can't really, it's hard to cook. It's really hard to simmer, especially if you're using titanium pots. I mean, I don't understand why you would go with this stove if you're not going with the titanium setup, because it brings me to my next con. The legs on this are really thin, and on a couple of mine you can see they're a little bit warped and bent. What I found is over the summer of backpacking, at the start of the summer, I was using this stove with my 1100 mil pot, and when I filled up a liter in the 1100 mil pot, it was too much weight on the burner. So the burner produces so much heat that what happened was the pot supports got hot and they started to warp just under the weight of that much water. So I would say if you're picking up this stove, I wouldn't plan honestly on boiling any more than about 700 mils of water. I found even with 750 on mine, by time the water got up to a boiling temperature, just the heat from the burner itself and just how narrow the pot stand legs are, it was already starting to warp a little bit. I don't know if that would be a big issue over time. I've had zero issues boiling 500 mils of water, so that kind of, for me, seems to be sort of the balance point on the weight. And yeah, with that too, when it comes to cooking and stuff, this thing has no built-in windscreen whatsoever, and it is really susceptible to getting blown out by wind. So that seems to be a big complaint that a lot of people have had. Personally, I haven't had any issues with it, and I hope I don't insult anybody by saying this, but to me it's just common sense. If you've got breeze and you're trying to boil water, I mean, block the wind with your body, stand there for 2.5 minutes. It's, yeah, I don't know. I haven't had any issues with it personally. But yeah, hopefully that helps anybody out. If anybody's got any kind of questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, if you guys found this informative, please hit that subscribe button, man. I would really appreciate that. Thanks for watching, guys.